It's 10 p.m. in Banjul, and this is the news. For the headlines. Cabinet members present the yield from their Jalambang farm to President Jammeh in a remarkable show of leading by example. City officials and Banjul residents put into motion an ambitious plan designed to give the island city a befitting 200th birthday anniversary. An attack on a university campus in Pakistan leaves at least 20 people dead. And Austria signals its unwillingness to continue allowing more migrants to stream into its territory unfettered. These and other stories coming ahead in the next 60 minutes. I am your presenter, FATOUMATA JOBE. Members of Cabinet on Wednesday evening presented the produce from their farm to the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babli Mansa, in a short ceremony conducted at the State House grounds. A total of 84 bags of maize was produced from their farm in Jalambang, which was cultivated alongside the community. The President hailed the remarkable partnership between his ministers and the community of Jalambang, a partnership that will undoubtedly enhance the national food self-sufficiency to drive. Mohamed Diallo reports on that.
A total of 84 bags of maize was harvested from their farm in Jalambang, Combo South, an unprecedented feat, since cabinet ministers also responded to the president's clarion call for a massive return to the land to attain national food self-sufficiency. Following that call, ministers partnered with the community of Jalambang, who readily provided the land and labor. The Alcalde of the village, Mondo Jata, expressed immense pride in what he described as a fruitful partnership that has benefited both sides. Politically, the Alcalde disclosed the farm has brought his community together as they are able to attract passionate volunteers eager to show solidarity with the Gambian leader. Alcalde Jara therefore paid gratitude to the President for the advice he has rendered in the course of their work, something that has paid great results in terms of yields. The Minister of Agriculture, Ismaila Sanyang, also returned gratitude to the community of Jalambang for their support, describing the partnership between them as a clear manifestation of the people's support and commitment to the Vision 2016 initiative. He added that his ministry will provide a tractor and fertilizer to the community and equally engage farmers through the innovation platform to promote good farming practices. Honorable Abdul Kole, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, who also doubles as the farm coordinator, said their success this year is as a result of some valuable lessons learned from their experience last year. He therefore hailed the proactive commitment of the two sides that has translated into a bumper harvest. The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, thanked her colleagues for taking a cue from the President, a distinguished farmer who continues to inspire his compatriots in the field of agriculture. This, he added, is evident in the marked increment in farming across the country, especially among women and the youth, who continue to look up to Professor Jammeh for leadership and advice. Dr. Njie Seydi urged Gambians to strive harder in order to attain our set targets, saying the potential is there to surpass our current achievements. The Gambian leader, His Excellency Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh Babli Mansa, thanked his ministers and the community of Jalambang for the harvest, something he said was a record that sends a clear message to Gambians that Vision 2016 is indeed attainable. Professor Jammeh further added that the drive towards national food self-sufficiency can only be attained through massive community mobilization at all levels, which will ultimately enable local communities set up their own food banks and credit facilities for soft loans. Responding to earlier appeals for a tractor and electricity from the Jalambang Alcalde, President Jammeh instructed the relevant ministries to work on that, adding that he will reward their support and solidarity. For a president who puts great emphasis on the practical aspect of agriculture, Professor Jammeh shared his experiences with the local farmers, urging them to embrace good soil management practices coupled with innovative farming techniques to improve yields. Such an approach, Professor Jammeh concluded, has been tried and tested in his numerous farms with amazing results. He therefore expressed confidence that they will surpass expectations next year as they did this past cropping season. Mohamed Diallo, GRTS News.
A young man has been motivated by his love for the President, His Excellency, Chair Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babli Mansa, to design and fabricate a special executive chair for the head of state. Mohamed Gomez and his family on Wednesday presented the chair to Professor Jammeh through the Vice President and Women's Affairs Minister, Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi. Louis Mendy reports on that.
This chair was made by Mohamed Gomez for President Jammeh. The young man Wednesday delivered the gift to the President through Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi, the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs. Mohamed was accompanied to the State House by Grandma Mary Foon, Mother Hadi Jeng, Sister Hadi Foon, and friend Suleiman Baji.
At this seat, I decided to make it for the President because I love the President. I see how he's working for the country and how he's teaching so many youths. So he's encouraging the youths so that they will do their future and they will do good things in the Gambia. Even when you travel, that travel is not your country. When you go to America, America is not your country. When you are a Gambian, you are a Gambian. You cannot go to England, you say England is your country, whilst you are a Gambian. Here is my country and he will be ever and ever with my country.
Mohamed, age 24, is a school dropout. Resident in Talinding, the young man looks ambitious with passion for carpentry.
Carpenter now is my choice because it's my dream now. When I do this learning, after learning, even I have talent, when I learn again, I will do the same work as carpenter.
Mohamed was forced out of school because the family couldn't afford to pay the school fees. He left at grade 7 in St. Teresa's Upper Basic School, but is willing to do vocational education if supported. What is more interesting is that though Mohamed is a promising carpenter, this is the only seat he ever made, simply because he doesn't have the financial muscle to start the trade. Lamin Dabo, the executive director of the National Youth Council, said Mohamed's case is a shining example that Gambians are skillful and that they only need to take the chances.
What we want to say is to encourage Mohamed that it's not easy to be successful in anything. And people who need shortcut to success definitely does not reap the word of success. If you want to be successful and remain successful and continue to succeed in whatever you do, you must definitely learn it properly and you must also go through some challenges.
Dabo used the opportunity to call on youth to emulate Mohamed. To entrepreneurs, Dabo said they should endeavor to support people like Mohamed.
But when you have a skill, you have a secure source of income for your livelihood, to take care of your family. Today we are witnessing a lot of young people leaving our countries, going through the back way. And as Ma will always say, even if we migrate, let's migrate with dignity. At least let's have a skill that we will definitely be able to utilize anywhere we find ourselves in the world. But we have young people who are leaving the source of this country, they didn't have any skill. The place they will find themselves are in the camps.
Grateful to Mohamed, Vice President Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi thanked the young man for his determination and love for President Jammeh. Madam Njie Saidi urged the National Youth Council to support young Mohamed by facilitating his enrollment to vocational schools such as GTTI and NYSS. The Vice President also thanked Mohamed's family for the moral support. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The Office of the First Lady and the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare would like to inform the general public that World Cancer Day 2016 will be commemorated in the Gambia in the form of an advocacy walk under the auspices of the Office of the First Lady of the Republic of the Gambia, Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh, on 4th February 2016 from the National Assembly Building in Banjul to the July 22nd Square at 8 a.m. The purpose of the Cancer Walk 2016, according to a news release, is to raise awareness of of cancer, mobilize support and raise funds to revive the cancer unit at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. The national campaign theme for 2016 is We Can, I Can, Gambia Can, Fight Against Cancer. World Cancer Day provides the opportunity for everyone to explore how to reduce the global burden of cancer, either as a collective or as individuals. You are all urged to reflect on what you can do, make a pledge and take action in order to help save a life. For cancer is more common in the Gambia than you think. The First Lady of the Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh, thus invites you all to join her for the advocacy walk on 4th February 2016 from the National Assembly building to the July 22nd Square at 8 a.m. Join the fight against cancer. Meanwhile, members of the National Livestock Owners Association on Wednesday called on the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs. The body formed in 2015 works to promote and safeguard the interests of members. Louis Mendy reports the association is seeking support and recognition from the presidency.
Livestock Owners Association were also granted audience with the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs in the State House on Wednesday. The body was established in 2015 with the ultimate aim of maximizing livestock development in all aspects, and now wants recognition by the government.
We deem it necessary to come here to the Gambia government, to the office of the Vice President, and then show her our plan of action, our intention, our aim and objectives. We need the Gambia government to support. I know they have been supporting, but then livestock is not a small department in the Gambia government. And then definitely, if you see our economics in the Gambia, when it's time to Tobaski or other events, we have to share our economic with other countries. Meaning we have to go to Senegal, Mali, buy animal stock to bring them to the Gambia. So our objective is just to make sure that that one is reduced. We have enough livestock in the Gambia so that we can meet the demand of the Gambian people.
The National Livestock Owners Association provides a representation for livestock owners in the livestock sector.
Looking at the livestock sector, we are not represented, we are the least represented, because most of us were represented by either the National Farmers Platform or NACOFAG, which were representing us in our own issues. So now at least we prefer to have a representation that will at least be based on farmer interests.
The association thrives on 4 pillars. One is the livestock health and production. The other is livestock security.
These pillars are livestock production, livestock health and production. That is one of our area of functions that will be functioning in that arena to make sure that livestock are healthy and they are produced to satisfy the ever-increasing market demands of the Gambia. The other pillar is livestock security. In this livestock security, that is the protection and security of livestock in the Gambia, was a major factor that was affecting us. Why? Because you will see an individual, especially the underprivileged, that is the women, they will rear and develop and make sure they have enough livestock, but all of a sudden it will just be one day an individual from nowhere will come and steal all these livestock.
The third pillar is the environment. The fourth is the commercial and marketing of livestock.
When you look at the livestock sector of the Gambia, when we talk of the livestock development, most of the problem we have is trucks. We have a problem with these livestock trucks. There are no trucks, there are no grassland, there are no drinking points. Or even if we have them, they are not enough. So always we have problems with this. That's why we have another pillar that is established on this sector. And the fourth one is commercialization and marketing. Looking at the sector or the structure of livestock in the Gambia, we have what we call, we rear livestock to have the number large rather than having the quality. And most of us, as we know, we don't sell livestock. We prefer to have that number in counts rather than having numbers that we have the best. And these people will be there to make sure that livestock are at least introduced to the market and they will be sold at reasonable prices to make sure that each and every Gambian have these products, that is meat, milk and other products of livestock, at least at a reasonable price to control the ever-increasing demand of the population of livestock products.
Ibrahim Ojalo is the president of the newly established National Livestock Owners Association.
So our objective is just to make sure that people can easily go to the market, have livestock produce so that they can benefit themselves. And that's the main objective of this association.
Challenges in the livestock sector include limited drinking points for animals, grazing land and cattle theft. What also concerns this body is the manner in which the judiciary handle cases of cattle rustlers, who they say often go free after stealing, much to the dismay of cattle owners. The association also want mobility to ease their job. Hailing the association for the great desire for the livestock sector, which is also a catalyst to the realization of Vision 2016, Vice President Aissatou Sedi assured the body government support at all times. Vice President Jai Sedi described President Jammeh as a chief farmer who cares for the welfare of farmers. On the challenges in the livestock sector, such as the scarcity of grazing land, the Vice President advised that the problem could be solved at community level, supported by the Land Banking Initiative recently adopted by the Lands Ministry. Shirfo Bojang, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, was present. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The Gambia's capital city is coming of age, and residents, past and present, have been called upon to give the small island of Banjul, which is rich in history, a help. A befitting birthday. Banjul's bicentenary celebrations will be marked in grand style in the month of April. Francis Mendy tells us more on that.
Banjul, according to sources, was founded by the British 200 years ago because of three characteristics.
Bathurst was founded on three sectoral prongs: the harbor, business, and farming. After 1816, when the British demobilized their West African armies from the West Indies and the Americas, those they brought to Banjul, they settled them in Sierra Leone and Banjul, which actually brought in the Akus. And they set up in Soldier Town, that's why it's called the Soldier Town. And around Soldier Town and beyond was all farmland. They were farmers. They were farmers. And up to lately, some of us will remember that Kampama and James Senegal, where my house is on Fifth Coast, we used to have papetete and we used to grow potatoes and corn there. And at Hopkinson Street, the Hadisila and the others were growing. So Banjul has a farming and horticultural civilization, which we can revive to create employment and generate income.
During the 200 years of existence, Banjul, by virtue of its strategic location and natural allure, continued to thrive and mutate into a cultural melting pot.
In fact, from time immemorial, this city has always been cosmopolitan in nature. History would reveal the coming of the Wolofs from Gore. History would reveal the Mandinkas who were around, and history would reveal the Akus who came from elsewhere. They called them the ex-slaves or descendants of the ex-slaves. Despite their diverse backgrounds, these people, they didn't only live in harmony, but they intermarried and respected each other's rhythm.
One open secret about Banjul that has been dogging it since the late 70s and early 80s is the substantial number of Banjulians who have moved to the Combos, leaving their clan homes, a phenomenon organizers of the bicentenary celebrations are looking forward to reversing.
We also need to have economic activities for the young, for the youth, and the women. Our fiscal is here. Our environment abounds with lagoons and creeks, which I understand are favorable for aquaculture. In some countries now, they're having more volume of fish caught from aquaculture than from the oceans, and it costs less, and it can involve you. This can be done in Banjul, and I believe, as the mayor says, yes, we can. We can. We need to study on the development program why has there been a mass exodus from Banjul. When I was on, they used to tell me Banjul was about 20,000-30,000 inhabitants. I doubt whether you can count more than 15,000 non-Gambians, for that matter. There is need to study ways and means of reducing these difficulties by going in for social housing in Banjul, wherever it is possible.
During the news conference where organizers made their intentions known, a bit of light was flashed on few little-known facts about the island city and the rich treasure trove of historic landmarks that remain hidden in plain view.
I always remind people that one of the greatest men in European history in the 20th century, General de Gaulle, had his headquarters in Banjul during the war at Lehman Street, which became, in the end, a restaurant, Brasoville. And it pains me to see such an edifice being ignored when it can be exploited, rehabilitated, and advertised for tourism. The French adored de Gaulle, and they were coming. And there are other places. The other day I passed by Lovell, the monument at Lovell Monument. Few young people don't know about that. It is at Combo Street, near Stanley. That monument was there, and it marked the protection of Banjul. That's where the boundary was. And to prevent the warriors from Combos coming in. And because of the intervention of Colonel Lovell and his armies, that monument was set up there, but it's forgotten.
Apart from the hidden gems that have a remarkable ability to strengthen city tourism, Banjul has also produced a number of political titans who fought vigorously for independence.
People have continued in this city, of Banjul, to resist foreign domination, as I have said. And to mind comes people like Edward Francis Small, Per Sar Njai, Reverend J.C. Faye, the socialist Ibrahima Gaba Jahumpa, the trade unionist Mamadou M. Jallo.
The organizing committee seemed to have found a ready ally in the head of state, who spent some of his teen years in the capital city.
As the capital city of the Gambia, the event has a national significance. Therefore, it is with great satisfaction and joy that His Excellency, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yaya A.J. Jammeh Babil Mansab, President of the Republic of the Gambia, has fully endorsed the observance of this great event. The approval by our head of state underscores the pivotal role Banjul has always played in the socio-economic development not only of this city but of the entire Gambian nation.
The organizing committee has 2 months to prepare for the 200 years anniversary celebrations. Although daunting and challenging, city officials believe the contributions of present and past Banjulians would go a long way towards making the massive celebrations a resounding success.
Above all, we need the support of all Banjulians and Gambians, near and far. We invite you all to join this great venture so that one day in the future, when this great and historical enterprise would be narrated to our grandchildren, each and all of us would be able to say proudly, was there and I contributed to that great venture marking 200 years of Banjul.
Banjul survived 2 world wars untouched and has also been a bastion of peace, except for the few days when mayhem reigned supreme during the abortive coup of 1981. But a challenge remains, the threat posed by rising sea levels over which we have little or no control. Francis Mendy, GRTS.
2 men suspected of breaking legislation enacted to protect or diminishing forest cover are in police custody. Ibrahim Afati and Ibu Sow, who are helping police in Quinella get to the bottom of the said crime, were arrested when a truck carrying forestry products got stuck in the mud. Aisa Takeda picks up the rest of that story.
Situated 5 kilometers from the main road, the Kiang West National Park was the scene of an incident which led to the impounding of a truck loaded with logs. This event occurred early Tuesday morning when the truck got stuck in the mud as the occupants attempt to make away with their looted treasure.
I asked him, where is the culprit? He said, no, only the driver is available here. Then I advised him to take the driver to the police station so that we can get hold of the culprit. So that's the time they reported to the police station. Then I drive all the way from Soma to come and meet them at the police station. Right now, the only information that we got pertaining to this is the one that we obtained from the statement that was written by the park manager and also the culprits.
This incident is one such event that occurred despite a press release in November that all permits regarding the felling of trees in the forest are suspended.
I questioned the driver as to who owns the logs. He told me it was Ibu. When I asked him whether he have his contact number, he said yes. He gave me the number, I called Ibu. I asked him, where are you? Ibu said he is heading to Kampasa. I told him, what are you going to do in Kampasa? He said he had a problem with the forest people at Dumbuto, so he is going out to look for help. I told him, please come to the police station now. We need you at the police station. He said, no, if I come at the police station, you are going to jail me. I told him, no, just come, I will help you. If you come immediately, I will not tell anybody. But if you stay away, you are going to mess yourself. So please come now. When I told him that, the next 15 minutes he appeared. We cautioned them and we charged them for illegal logging.
Actually, what has happened is an illegal act. It's an offense. It has happened in a national park, and the culprit has no permit. In fact, in a national park, must not cut trees in a national park.
These were the suspects, Ibrahim Afati, who happens to be the driver, and Ibu Sow, suspected to be behind the act. However, despite the highly publicized press release on the said issue, it seems many do not even know the Forestry and Parks Act. But for the case of Ibu Sow, the act is well known to him, but this is the only means he has to feed his family. As highlighted by authorities, the place will be under the direct observation of the police officers who will help offload the logs and transfer them to the station. Anybody found wanting will be charged according to the Forestry and Parks Act of the Gambia. These officials are convinced will serve as an eye-opener to many engaged in such activities.
If you look at what has happened today, the culprit has really contravened both the Forestry Act, the Wildlife Act, as well as the press release that was done in November. So actually both departments, the Department of Parks and Wildlife, Department of Forestry, as well as the Ministry, would not take this case lightly. We want to set a good example for everybody to see that, this suspension is on and should be respected by everybody.
As at now, the culprits who are due to stand trial at the Kiang Magistrate Court for their alleged offences will be under detention at the Quinala police station, whilst police officers continue their investigation. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Aissatou Keita.
34 families living in the West Coast region have received relief materials from Child Fund the Gambia, Dingding Bantaba Federation and the WEC mission. The handing over comes months after a wind gusted the damage to their houses. Aissatou Jata has more on that story.
The donation could not have come at a better time, for apart from having to live in their damaged houses, the victims also had to bear challenges associated with displacement, like exposure to mosquitoes that could have an impact on their health. Children, who often bear the brunt of natural disasters, it seems were the main reason why the two organizations alongside National Disaster Management Agency decided to intervene.
Disasters are inevitable. They are within man's life. Actually, we did not like to have such forums, but unfortunately, during the rainy season, almost 75 families in our enrollment or in our sponsorship program are struck by windstorm and rain disasters. But unfortunately, we cannot do it all. We decided to collect the data in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency to make sure we have adequate data and correct data for the families affected. During the process, we liaised with the work mission at in Sibanor, and they were also able to give a helping hand to those families. Because our main concern is how do we get a proper or a good shelter for those children to be safe. If their families are struck by a disaster, they have no shelter, there is no development that we can venture in. So therefore, we feel it necessary that we have a stake to make sure we provide them with at least a token of building materials, specifically corrugated iron sheet, to support the rebuilding of their houses.
Ibu Sow, Dingding Bantaba Federation manager, said the storm affected people in Foni Berefet, Bintang and Kansala. He spoke about the timeliness of the intervention and stressed that materials will assist the beneficiaries in their attempts to recover from the disaster. Dindim Bantaba Federation board member Sehu Sanyang urged the beneficiaries to make efforts to avoid a repeat of this hardship they went through, but not without telling them to use the donated materials for the intended purpose. Lalo Baji, who spoke on behalf of his fellow beneficiaries, promised to use the materials to renovate their damaged houses. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Aissatou Diatta.
The work done by stakeholders who recently gathered in Janjanbure's Central River region to validate the National Qualifications Framework policy has been commended. By expert participants, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, as Buba Sisa reports, is committed to implementing the sector-wide education policy through the harmonization of programs with their tertiary and higher education institutions, with focus on quality and relevance in line with the requirements of the job market.
Thoroughly going through the National Qualifications Framework document and knowing what it has to offer to the country's tertiary and higher education institutions, the expert participants wasted no time to comment on its aptness and relevance. Concerning harmonization of programs and transfer of credits for the smooth progression of students from one institution to another, the president of the American International University explains the importance in the development of the Gambia's higher education sector.
Establishment of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology was a key step in moving forward. Harmonization is very, very important because knowledge knows no boundary, and people who seek knowledge want to move from one place to another. We have to accommodate that. We have to do that within the framework of a system, and the system has got to be maintained. Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has taken the first few steps already. They have got the fundamental strategy straight out. There is a legal framework they can operate on. And now this retreat is about harmonization and getting all the institutions together so that we can help each other. We are partners in development, especially in the field of higher education. So I feel extremely pleased to be here to attend this and to know the viewpoints.
The principal of Gambia College, Abubakar Jallo, equally applauded the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, MOHAS, for the establishment of National Qualification Framework as a policy, which aims at promoting standards and relevant education to meet the demands of the job market.
Harmonization will enable the tertiary institutions and the university to come to terms with regards to credit transfer systems. Our programs will have to be uplifted to a level that will maybe correspond to 2 years, first 2 years of university, so that by the time you graduate from Gambia College, you only spend 2 years to do your bachelor's degree in a related field. So it of course have a lot of issues with regards to standardizing the quality, and also when it comes to relevance, it is only those relevant courses that you've done at the Gambia College that would be considered in the credit transfer system to go to a higher education institution.
For our students to be admitted at the University of the Gambia, this is an advantage for the university, because if you graduate mature students, those who have started with the tertiary education, then finally in the four walls of the university, it's a strength, and they will be producing quality students that can change their outlook as far as the labor market is concerned.
As a Gambian who studied outside, Martin Jai described the issue of credit transfer as a step in the right direction.
It's very important, it's very timely and effective, and I think that this is the right step to the right direction in ensuring that education is of quality, and that making sure that students of the Gambia don't have any problems when they're trying to transit from a tertiary institution to a higher institution, and that it's also recognized internationally so that when students leave here to go and study abroad, they don't have that problem that they're facing.
I think it is a very good and positive initiative.
it is something that is going to now put us at par with all the players in education in Africa and in the wider world. The primary objective of this harmonization is actually to ensure that whoever finds themselves in the Gambia and studies here, their qualifications will always be benchmarked against international standards.
Consistent with its set visions, MOHA seeks to establish a tertiary and higher education system of international standards backed by institutions and centers of excellence that will produce well-educated and skilled citizens with the requisite competencies to lead fulfilled lives and compete nationally and globally. Buba SMCC, GRTS.
There is a sector of Serekunda market called the black market, where young men hang out to sell used mobile phones at bargain prices. Although a good number of them are believed to be doing legitimate business, eyebrows are being raised in some quarters over the sinister activities of a few. GRTS's FATOUMATA Kanyi went exploring the area, and he now reports.
Walk through these stairs every morning, a routine process that set them on course to making a living for themselves. These young men are also contributing to the country's economic growth through an active informal trade which is booming by the day. Their presence at Serekunda's biggest market, though, is a source of delight and at times concern for both traders and shoppers who visit this vital trading center. The black market, as they refer to the main point of activity where the informal selling and buying of mainly mobile phones and accessories at a relatively takeaway price, is often a hive of activity. This is the epicenter of the back and forth bargaining of electronic gadgets and the like, but for some not all that happen here is legal. Allegations of stolen phones being traded here have been rife, while some say it is the meeting point for bandits and criminals. The occupants, though, explain a different story.
Black market here, you have good people, you have bad people. That one, in any country you go, not only Gambia, any country you go, when there is a black market, you have bad people, you have good people. You have very, very good people here. If you want mobile, when you come, it depends the amount you have. It depends the amount you have. If you want to get a very good phone, you go to the shop, you buy phone. Thank God, you know, everybody, thank God for that. Everything is going fine. You understand? Some countries there is no peace. So Gambia, there is a peace. Only peace, people are looking for.
With business seemingly increasing in scope, these sellers are now attracting more customers who visit the place to buy cell phones at cheap cost. For some customers, it can be a happy day, whilst others often fall prey to unforeseen problems, and then the ensuing hunt for their clients.
To do business, buy and sell, and go home peacefully and come in the morning again to find something. So I'm not like a criminal things we are doing here. We are doing legal things. As for me, how I'm seeing the market, no any problem.
This part of the market comprises both Gambians and other foreign nationals to make ends meet by virtue of their skills in negotiating good prices for their gadgets.
Gambia is a peaceful country, actually, I love the Gambia, and I really love the president being in this country. So it's like, let me build my empire in Gambia. I settle down, I have my wife, I have my kids, I settle down in Gambia.
For this man, Mohammed Job, who has been in the cell phone trade for the past 15 years, described the black market as a viable trade option, but still advised customers to buy phones from recommended shops. Despite this, though, the option is still open for these young men who occupy this part of the vast market complex, who make their daily trips to the Serekunda market to provide potential customers looking out for cheaper bargains and an alternative they will hardly find in conventional markets. For GRCS News, I am FATOUMATA Kanyi.
We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Police in Pakistan say an assault by militants on a university campus is now over, and all the 4 men have been killed. Security forces were engaged in a gun battle with militants who stormed the university, targeting students and teachers. At least 20 people are dead, most of the victims shot while in their dormitories. There are conflicting reports about who carried out the attack, but DWTV has the rest of the story.
Hospital crews rush to care for the dozens of injured. The focus now is on saving as many lives as possible. Others are in mourning and disbelief. The morning's dense fog allowed the 4 gunmen to scale the walls and enter Bacha Khan University. School officials say about 3,000 people were on campus as the militants opened fire, targeting students and teachers. There was confusion as the attacks began. We heard firing from the back of campus. We thought maybe some people were fighting. Then the firing increased. So we said, get into the rooms and don't go out. Then the security forces arrived. They showed great bravery. The army soldiers also showed great bravery. Police arrived first, followed by the Pakistani army. Some teams evacuated students and staff, while others focused on hunting down the attackers. Shortly after noon, security forces killed all 4 gunmen and announced the end of the operation. Police say most of the victims were shot in the male dormitories. The region in Pakistan's northwest is a stronghold for the Taliban. Just over a year ago, they attacked a school in nearby Peshawar and killed 136 children, prompting several major military offenses and airstrikes against the extremists.
Keeping Europe's internal borders open is something Germany's president is strongly in favor of. During his speech earlier at the opening of the World Economic Forum in Davos, he called on EU states not to close their borders. The migration issue is likely to overshadow other concerns of the summit, such as slowing economic growth. Let's turn to this DWTV report for more on that.
On. Davos has seen the arrival of leaders, thinkers and entrepreneurs from around the globe, but they're not here for winter sports. The agenda of this year's World Economic Forum is packed, but Klaus Schwab, who started the annual Alpine meeting in the 70s, thinks that the right people are there to solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
We are here, leaders from all walks of the life, political leaders, business leaders, particularly also the young people.
Young and old were starstruck by the presence of Leonardo DiCaprio. The actor picked up the event's Crystal Award on opening night. But behind the Hollywood glamour was some real substance, with DiCaprio passionately advocating ecological reform while squarely attacking the fossil fuel industry.
We simply cannot afford to allow the corporate greed of the coal, oil, and gas industries to determine the future of humanity. Enough is enough. You know better. The world knows better. History will place the blame for this devastation squarely at their feet.
Another big topic in Davos, economic inequality, the growing divide between the super rich and the devastatingly poor. An intractable problem. And also on the agenda, healthcare, with cancer research getting top billing. US Vice President Joe Biden is taking his initiative to other world leaders, and his hopes are high.
Our goal is to make a decade's worth of advances in 5 years instead of 10, and eventually end cancer as we know it. We're not trying to make incremental change, we're looking for quantum leaps.
Quantum leaps or baby steps, Davos is all about finding solutions to the world's problems. Hundreds of panels are being held in the next few days, with insiders hoping that at least some goals can be reached.
Austria says it will limit the number of refugees the country would take in. The Chancellor of Vienna made a disclosure at a summit in Vienna, where key players are meeting to discuss the migration crisis in Europe. The Austrian decision has major implications for Berlin as it raises pressure on Germany's Angela Merkel. Shortly after speaking at an annual conference of the party's Bavarian sister party, the CSU called on Merkel to limit the number of migrants arriving this year. The AW looks at what Austria's move is likely to mean for the meeting between Merkel and the Bavarian Conservative. These 44 members of Merkel's party demand new border controls.
Hundreds of thousands of migrants have entered Europe over the last months, many of them headed for Germany. Last year alone, the country took in more than 1 million asylum seekers. Now, an increasing number of Germans want border controls reintroduced. But what exactly would that mean? If Germany were to close its borders, other countries such as Austria and Slovenia might follow suit. More refugees would end up stuck in southern Europe or stranded along the European Union's exterior borders, causing more chaos and suffering. Reinstating border controls would also harm the economy. Goods vehicles would have to be checked, slowing trade, causing traffic jams and queues at the borders. There's such a large volume of exports and imports to and from Germany these days that border controls could easily mean additional costs of 10 billion euros. More bureaucracy and additional stocks of products to ensure timely delivery all add up. But that's not all. Passport checks at the borders would also limit free movement for travellers in Europe's passport-free Schengen zone, endangering one major accomplishment of the European integration project. Political scientist Sabine von Oppeln fears that could do major damage to the EU. The European idea has already suffered considerably, starting with the euro crisis. It damaged European unity. If we put the Schengen area into question, essentially meaning a closing of borders, that would be another element putting the European Union at risk. Those in favour of closing the borders claim they are also concerned about Europe's future. The discussion is set to continue as more and more refugees come in search of a better life.
The governor of Michigan is promising help for economically struggling cities trying to overcome a crisis over contaminated drinking water. The water is contaminated with lead and there is no easy, quick or inexpensive fix. Protesters want the governor to be prosecuted. CNN reports on how the crisis started and what officials had done about it.
It is something many take for granted. Fresh, clean water from the tap in your home. But for the nearly 100,000 residents of Flint, Michigan, it's a problem.
It smelled like toilet.
Rhonda Kelso says that toxic water has been flowing in Flint for nearly 2 years. She's part of potential class action suits alleging the governor and other state and local officials lied to the community about what was in their water.
It's unconscionable. You really don't want to think about it. You want to block it out of your mind. It's like, did they really do that?
The suits allege that in 2014, local and state officials made the decision to switch from the safe Detroit water supply to water from the Flint River, a savings of about $60 a day, according to the federal complaint. At the time, Flint was under a financial emergency.
People, of course, are talking about rashes, they're talking about hair loss, they're talking about seizures that never happened before. We're talking to women that have had miscarriages.
Officials failed to add an anti-corrosive agent to the river water, which then allowed lead from some of the system's pipes to contaminate the water. The complaint states that Flint emergency manager at the time and now defendant Darnell Early made the decision.
Can you explain why you twice declined to go back to Detroit water even after there were problems?
I'm not at liberty to answer any questions regarding that situation.
Governor Rick Snyder admits the water crisis is a disaster, but many are questioning the state's response. According to a new lawsuit, the U.S. EPA wrote in June 2015 a detailed memo outlining unacceptable levels of lead in Flint's water. That was shared with state officials, but no action was taken. It wasn't until October 2015 that the state changed Flint's water supply. So far, hundreds of residents have complained of health issues, including Rhonda Kelso, who now worries about the future of her 12-year-old daughter.
What are you asking for from the officials of the state?
A refund for paying for poison. I'm asking for compensation for injuries to my daughter. I'm asking for compensation for my property damage.
Jean Casares, CNN, Flint, Michigan.
We take our second break now. Sports is next. Welcome back. Football teams in Lower Fuladu West District are gearing up to compete for the coveted trophy that will be staked during a tournament sponsored by President Jammeh. Ibrahim Balde was in the area and he now reports.
Junior Messi, Falcao and others went to the rice field not to play football but to take part in various works being undertaken at the Vision 2016 rice fields in Pachar. The dust is yet to settle after lifting the 2015 football tournament held in Fulabantan. Inspired and motivated to play for Vision 2016 Football Club, Ibrahim Sow, also known as Messi, said he and his colleagues are ready to take part in the tournament.
We are fully ready. We are just ready any competition. Yeah, we are ready for it. The rice will begin before the team. So we are working on the Vision 2016. After we realize that when we form a team, it will also much more interested to pull out other youths like us, so that those who are not educated, and they can use us as a form of educating those people to tell them the aims and the objective of Vision 2016. Yeah, and we are also preparing for next tournament that will be organized. The football, I know many people have much to talk, but the football will not hinder us from working. We will work after work, then we will go and job. As it says, all play, no work, make Jack the old boy.
The next tournament and people, we are ready for that. We are preparing for that. My team, my boys are ready for preparing preparation for that next tournament. And we are expecting that next tournament we will surely going to play it and we are going to win the cup. And that will not stop us to work, to stop us doing our work. We'll be working here, we are working here, and we will continue working here. Then after we go and play our games and we win.
Falcao, his real name Yaya Kande, said he was happy to be part of Vision 2016 Football Club. From one activity to the other, the young lads determined to prove their mettle off the pitch continued their voluntary work. Later in the evening, the boys flexed their legs at the training ground in preparation for the next tournament, with $100,000 from President Jammeh Babele Mansa up for grabs. The following day, top echelons in the Central River region, including Governor Alhaji Omar Khan, CFO of Lower Fuladu West, Mamadou Lamin Balde, National Assembly member Omar Trop, CEO Janjambur Area Council, joined members of the Vision 2016 Football Club to celebrate the Nawetan victory. Speaking before the party, Usman Koli, Ganya Dem and Jibi Kamara emphasized the need to unite and take stock of the gains recorded at the Vision 2016 fields. As the evening wears on, Jali Keba and band took over the stage to entertain the gathering. Ibrahim Balde, GRTS News.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Cabinet members have presented the yield from their Jalambang farm to President Jammeh in a remarkable show of leading by example. City officials and Banjul residents have put into motion an ambitious plan designed to give the island city a befitting 200th birthday anniversary. An attack on a university campus in Pakistan has left at least 20 people dead. And Austria is signaling its unwillingness to continue allowing more migrants to stream into its territory unfettered. That's all we have for you now at 10. For more, join us tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the news as usual. I am your presenter, FATOUMATA.